Guys, it is so good to see you both again.
Thank you.
First of all, happy birthday to you.
It's coming up.
You've got a hit movie coming out. Your birthday's around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Second part of that story is, guess who shares the birth date with my mother? August 15th.
Who?
This guy
Hey,
right here.
what?
And Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes.
And Julia Childs.
How about that?
And Napoleon. So I don't know
Napoleon?
what that says,
Group.
but yeah, it's quite a
August 15th is who
Try to
just
take
saw
over
it.
Europe.
I'm Cinco de
Yeah,
Mayo,
America.
so that's kind
that's
of
pretty cool.
you know, whatever. The adrenaline rush that we get watching this thing is incredible, just in our seats. What was it like for you to actually portray these characters and play these roles? It's so full of energy and intensity.
I mean, I certainly had never done anything like that. You know, this kind of this approach to this, you know, an action film, but done in a I feel like a very hyper-realistic way, especially when it comes to the way that we operate. The guys we got to talk to, the special forces guys that made themselves available to us, not only for training, but you know, showing us pictures, giving us their stories about how they operate, in order to, I think, impart with us at least just some of the spirit of what they do. And that was really thrilling to just get a little closer to what that kind of life is, that kind of life of service, and the anonymity of it. I mean, such intense things for their country, and no one knows, you know?
But you really have to appreciate what these guys do, and then you're portraying this. So the training, tell me about like training with these guys. What did they show you? What did
You know, it was just, you had the feeling that you would have being around sort of, these guys are the Michael Jordans, LeBron James of kind of what they do. So you have this intense feeling of being around like real excellence, real discipline, years of training, you know, the whole Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours, like all that stuff has gone into it. This is the thing they know how to do. They're sharing it with you and showing you how to do it. Shoot, move, reload a weapon, you know, and it felt like a privilege to me. I felt like, wow, we're really lucky to get a chance to be around these guys and learn this from them.
Also beautiful little cinematic things, like I was walking into a room and there happened to be a mirror over there, and we did a take, and then Nick John, who was one of the great guys that was there working with us, he comes over, he says, maybe you should look at the mirror, because you can get an angle for the doorway over there, so come in on the mirror, and JC hears that, and they're like, great, so then now the shot starts with the mirror, and then you see me looking at it, and then suddenly it moves, and you realize that this choreography is going, so their spatial awareness is incredible, and it lended to some really cool things in the film.
There's a couple of scenes, and I'm not ruining anything, but like there's a cliff scene that you guys know about and all this. How did it feel to film this thing? There's a lot of energy, a lot of adrenaline.
There's a lot of those. I mean, you know, there were a lot of sequences, like, I don't want to give much away, but, you know, there's some crash scenes that you know, were difficult to film, a lot of action, a lot of moving parts. The cliff stuff, we're up in the Sierra Nevadas, dealing with the altitude, running around with M4s and ACOGs, and, you know, fully kitted out, and people are dropping like flies from altitude, and you know, it was a rush, but I think it led to the scenery in this, all the beautiful locations. We're in Bogota, Colombia as well, and sort of running, gunning. It was very special for all of us.
Charlie, how did you get ready for this? And this is going to be your question as well, but how do you prepare for a role like this? Because it seems like there would be some training involved.
Yeah, it was really fortunate. We got to work with some really exceptional soldiers, some special forces guys, SEAL team guys, and a Delta Force guy. They were just so serious and took very, very seriously the task of preparing us to represent them, you know, adequately on screen. And so that was the majority. I also fell in love with this guy called Sebastian Junger, who is an author of Tribe and War and a filmmaker of Restrepo and Korangal. And so on sort of the research side of it, he was the guy that I spent a lot of time reading and thinking about his theories about the aspects of civilian life after military life. Because that's really the foundation for us. The crux of understanding these characters is understanding that transition from military to civilian life.
And so mentally, though, you also have to prepare, because like you're talking about, these guys post-battle, post-war, post-conflict, mentally, in addition to the physical training, mentally you guys had to get ready for this as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for Billy Lynn, we did a 2-week boot camp under this you know, wonderful, you know, guy named Master Chief Hoffman, and a lot of his guys out of San Diego, who trained a lot of the SEAL teams that have made such a huge impact on our world. And so it was a very similar situation within this, and we sort of went through a similar boot camp. You know, we do a lot of tactical drills. You know, just learn the ins and outs of how you approach anything from home raids to just situational awareness. And you know, you're meeting guys with great honor and who you respect immensely, and you don't want to let these guys down, you know, and you take it very seriously. And so to go through this situation again on this was great, and you feel...
It's interesting, they create a situation that forces you to take things seriously. On my first day with them...
They don't take any shit.
No, they don't take any shit. For some reason, on the first day of training, because we had 2 different training sections, because there was with the filming got delayed. But the initial day, I showed up one day and I was by myself. And I don't have a lot of experience with live fire. And we did this, they ran this scenario, which was an ambush scenario where we started in a vehicle and with live fire had me cover them as they came out. So we were basically simulating driving and they screamed contact and then to bring the weapon up, shoot through the glass of the windscreen, put my weapon through, and then start laying down cover fire as they got out. And then we, what do you call that when you sort of, in that maneuver, you know what I'm talking
Swim.
about? We, you know, like leapfrog each other, you know, and live fire. And we're talking about, you know, 5 feet this way or 5 feet that way, you could be shooting someone, you know? So it was incredible on the first, or maybe that was the second day, to put that much trust into us that, you know, they would really put their lives in our hands. And that was not for nothing. That was sort of a lesson of like, this is what it is required to have this type of thing, is that my life depends on you. And that was, I think, the fundamental lesson, although that wasn't spoken, that they were trying to, you know, instill in us.
What an ensemble, what a cast. I mean, you just go down all these names, you included. This is great. What was it like to work with this incredible cast?
Oh, it was amazing. They're all very unique and special in their own way, and they're all so talented. So I think I was challenged in every angle, which I like.
It was intense for us to watch. There's a couple of scenes that just, I was literally leaning in. I was engrossed in this story that was going on. Could you feel the adrenaline on the set? What was a typical day like when you were filming?
I think JC does a wonderful job of not making you feel that. It's never stressful, it's never chaotic. It's always pretty relaxed, but you know there's like an underlying tone of it because it's in the script. But I think working on the set was really relaxing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so surprised to hear that because, I mean, I know you're acting, I know you're portraying, you know, these characters. So let's talk about your character.
My character.
She's sweet, she's nice, but she's also kind of like a spy. And I'm not giving anything away when I say that. Did you research, because there's like cartel stuff involved. Yeah. Did you research any of that, or how did you get ready?
Yeah, I did research a lot of that, but I'm also from half Guatemalan, half Puerto Rican, so I think there's a part of me that it didn't really have to research that much.
I know what you're talking about.
You know, that's my second last name. My dad's second last name.
Do you want to know who else has that as a second last name?
Who?
Ricky Martin.
Really?
He's a Morales.
And he's also Puerto Rican. Are we related?
There you go.
I think I may be related to Ricky Martin. That's really cool.
And then we might all be cousins somewhere down the line. We'll have to do ancestry or whatever it is the thing.
But yeah, so I think Giovanna is extremely brave, and I almost wish I was a little bit more like her. She's an accountant for this leader of this cartel, and she helps these men she plans this whole thing out for them for the sake of her brother's life. So I think she not only is risking her life, but her brother's life in order to help these men, and that's pure bravery. So yeah, she's sweet, but I would say she's more brave than sweet.
The twists and the turns that I was talking about. I have to ask you this question because I'm so excited. Fortnite. It's huge. When I realized it was you that I was talking to you, the voice, did you have any idea this is going to...
No, I would have asked for more money.
Really?
You kidding me? No, I'm kidding. No, I had no idea. They gave me kind of the storyline of it, and I thought it was really cool. I met Doug, one of the creators of it, and we got on a call, and I was like, I've never done this. I don't know if I'll ever will. It just sounds so cool. And I fell in love with the idea of it, and I went in, I did it, and I left. And I know that they were scrambling, trying to get everything ready, and then all of a sudden, when it launched, it just went completely viral, and it went crazy. So I'm so happy for them, because they worked so hard for this.
As a former radio guy,
Yes.
dude, the music and the movie's amazing, but I zeroed in on the music.
It's fun, right?
You tell me you picked the tunes for this.
We did. My editor and I have worked together for a while now, and so we both love music, and we would kind of throw songs back and forth at each other. We wanted it. We all wanted the score to kind of live in the latter half of the movie once it kind of gets going, but in the beginning it felt like needle drops. Just kind of felt like a bunch of people driving around in cars. That's what would be going on, and the opening song was actually in the script. So
I am not going to reveal it, because I started screaming in the theater. I was like, everybody knows this band.
That song is, it's representative a little bit of who these guys are. They're American kids who grew up in the 90s and 80s and 90s, and when these guys would have been there. And so we kind of called back to a little bit of like what Oscar's character would have been listening to, and what he was kind of, as he was getting ready to go in there. So and then I won't ruin it, but it is the member of that band played drums for our composer.
Oh my gosh!
So
you know how many people
Lars,
now are
actually it's out. So Lars, from Metallica. I think they're using it to promote the film. So Lars from Metallica. There are some Metallica songs in the movie, but he also plays on the score. So it's super fun for me as like a kid from New Jersey. It was fun to get to like.
Well, it was. But many people right now are going, I got to just watch this opening scene. So there you go. Go watch it right now. How do you direct a cast like this? I mean, the talent. It's when I was flying from Houston to New York to do these interviews, and I'm writing Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Charlie Hunnam. I'm like, dude, it goes on and on. How do you direct a cast like that?
Carefully is how you do it. It was, look, to get this kind of collection of actors together is a dream. It makes my job so much easier. I'd had one other film that I had done that is an ensemble like this, and the key is to start it out. You want to make sure that you believe who these guys are and the relationship between them, who's in charge and who is sort of deferring. And then in this movie, as things unfold, shall we say, you get to see those things kind of flip on their head a little bit. And it's my favorite kind of movies to watch, frankly. So this is when, as a director, you're just saying, what would I want to see? And this is one of the things I would have wanted to see.
What inspired this story? Because you also co-wrote this. As I'm sitting there watching it, like, this story is insane.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I think we always intended, when I read it, it was a script that Mark Bowl wrote. It was a sort of a great story when I first read it, and that's what I was looking for. But for me, it was a really fun opportunity to kind of have a film operating on two levels. You sort of have this muscular throwback film that again are the films that I love to watch, and then there's this sort of character element that is sort of living below the surface, which has, for me at least, when I first read it, was almost like a reflection on the last 20 years of warfare, really, that these characters would have, in their profession, have been involved with. And so you were sort of able to look back on what we've been doing over the last 20 years without actually having to be in the desert, and kind of, you're reliving it, but not literally reliving it. And so you don't have that fatigue, and it sort of allows you to have the characters almost get a little more reflective, because they're no longer in that place, but their lives are have certainly been shaped by that experience. So, but no, it is not based, the subtext is, the movie is not based on it. In fact, I think, legal affairs will probably come in at some point and make sure that this is not based on any real characters. And if anyone's thinking about it, that was not our intent. The movie is intended as a parable and a fun metaphor.